I've always known that I wanted to be an incredible novelist, travel the world, kind of like James Baldwin, but I never had the courage to actually just take that leap of faith and do it. And then right before my 50th birthday, I was like, if you don't do it now, it's never going to happen. So I packed up my bags, quit my job, and moved to Spain. And I'm going to tell you how it's going 4 years later. Hello, everybody. Welcome back to the Literary Lori YouTube channel, or welcome if this is your first time. I wanted to take this opportunity because it's actually coming up on my 4-year anniversary since moving to Spain to explain why I made this move as a writer and how it's going. So I really wanted to share this because I thought it might be helpful for other people who are thinking about doing something like this. And also just so you guys know where I'm coming from and you can, decide if you want to cheer me along or think that I'm crazy. But again, I really think that by sharing my experience, I might inspire somebody else to do the same. So basically, here's what happened. I was an 8-year-old when I decided I wanted to be a writer, right? I was 8 years old. My mother had bought me an antique Remington typewriter, and she was like, here, you seem to be always telling stories. Basically, I lied a lot. But the lies were like really verbose lies. I mean, they were like detailed lies. And she was like, clearly you have the soul of a storyteller. Why don't we call them stories and write them down, and we can stop with the foolishness, right? So, channel that energy, Lori, channel that creativity. And so really, once I started typing out my stories and seeing them on the page, I was like, I'm going to be a writer. I was a voracious reader, learning how to tell stories, putting them down on the page. I was like, yeah, this is it. This is what I want to do with my life. But when life came knocking, college, making these, important decisions, I just didn't have the courage to say, yeah, I want that life of writing fiction, traveling the world. I just couldn't make myself do it. I don't know what it was, a lack of belief in my talent, a lack in representation of other people that looked like me who was doing what I wanted to do. Regardless, I didn't do it. I spent an entire lifetime pretending I didn't want to be a novelist and instead pursued a writing job where there was actually a paycheck. And for me, that was journalism. So I started my career first by going back to school, getting a master's degree in journalism, and then having a very delightful decade working in the magazine industry. I worked at Essence magazine, at Vibe magazine, at Entertainment Weekly magazine, having a great time, and I learned a lot. As a journalist, I learned how to write on deadline. I learned how to interview people. I learned how to tell a good story. When I had kids, I transitioned from deadline journalism to academia, where I taught journalism. And I had a great time doing that as well. I learned more about the power of the written word. I loved being with young people because they kept me young. They kept me connected to what was going on in the world. During this time, because I had I wouldn't say it was a cushy job, but it was a secure job. I actually made it to the point of being tenured, so it was a secure job. During that time, I wrote 4 books. I wrote Hair Story, which was straight nonfiction, followed that up with a memoir, Kinky Gazpacho, creative nonfiction. Then I did write that novel that I always said I wanted to do. It's called Substitute Me. And then I wrote another nonfiction book called Same Family, Different Colors, Confronting Colorism in America's Diverse Families. So I was being a writer. I was doing what I said I wanted to do, but it wasn't really what I wanted to do. I had that vision from when I was a kid. I wanted to be writing novels. I wanted to be traveling the world and collecting stories. I wanted James Baldwin's life. Well, the good parts. Okay, let's be honest, the good parts. I wanted James Baldwin's life. I wanted Maya Angelou's life. I wanted Josephine Baker's life, minus the banana skirt. But you get what I mean. I wanted this creative, fueled, colorful, global literary life. And so what happened? I was nearing 50 and I was like, you had that dream. What are you going to do about it? And so this was very much in the middle of the pandemic when I had this realization. It was clear that life wasn't guaranteed. And again, I think if I hadn't had such a clear picture of what I wanted my life to be like, I would have been okay. I had written 4 books. I had a very good job. I had a nice home, a car, kids, the whole nine. But when you have that dream, you have to pursue it. And so I decided, along with my husband, that I wanted to move to Spain. And I wanted to not just move to Spain, but I wanted to move to Spain so that I could have my James Baldwin, Josephine Baker literary life. And so we did it. In 2021, we packed up our kids, we quit our job, we sold the car, sold everything pretty much, and started over. So why Spain? Very simple. 4 very, very key reasons. 1 big one and 3 less big ones. Reason number 1, why Spain? Because, I talked about Josephine Baker and James Baldwin. They all went to France. My husband is Spanish. So cheat code, didn't have to deal with the visa situation. Still had to do a lot of paperwork, but obviously having an into a European country because through marriage, that's where we went. But there were more reasons why Spain. So Spain was, again, easiest visa. 2, I speak Spanish. 3, and this is actually the most important thing why Spain worked for us and specifically for me so that I could pursue this global literary life where I could write fiction and not go broke. It's because of the healthcare and the cost of higher education. So because Spain has a socialized medicine system, you still have to pay for health insurance or, through, working in the Spanish system. But it's incredibly affordable. So I didn't have to make millions of dollars or have a good job to have insurance. And that was obviously very important to me. I could have probably pursued this same lifestyle in the United States, but I wouldn't be able to afford to keep my family healthy. And the other part was reason number 3 is because I wanted to be able to send my kids to college. And again, I wouldn't have the money to do that in the United States pursuing this type of lifestyle where I'm putting my creative writing first. In Spain and other European countries, college tuition can be as low as $1,000 a year to free, depending where you go. And even though this dream was very important to me, I wasn't willing to risk my children's health or their choice of education for my dreams. I didn't think that was fair. But spoiler alert, I have sent my son to college. He went to college in the Netherlands, and nobody has suffered from any diseases or anything. Everybody's got clean teeth, no problems because of any health-related issues. But now let's talk about how things are going as a writer. Like, did I make the right choice? And have I been able to accomplish what I wanted to accomplish, which was, again, writing fiction, pursuing more creative writing opportunities, and seeing more of the world. So I will have to say this very clearly, very succinctly. Things are going really well, but it didn't start out as easy as I thought it was going to. For the first year that I was here in Spain, I would say that it took me a full year before I could allow myself, even though I had made this big move, it took a full year before I allowed myself to say that you can actually do the writing thing. I actually spent a year trying to create a business, trying to stay busy because that was so ingrained in me, the hustle grind culture. So it just didn't seem acceptable to just try to be a creative writer. Then in the second year, when I was like, yes, you came here to be a writer, I defaulted to the type of writing I had been doing because it felt safe. And during that time, I am proud to say that I worked with some amazing people and helped them write their memoirs. In 2023, the last book that I worked as a collaborator came out. It's called I Wasn't Supposed to Be Here. I wrote that with Jonathan Conyers. It's an incredible book, and I'm very proud of it. But again, it was another full year that I gave to the type of work that I had been doing for over 20 years because it was safe. Finally, by the beginning of year 3, I was like, Lori, you moved here so you could be a novelist, the novelist you always said you wanted to be. And again, it had to be one of those stop and consider what you said you wanted to do. And I took time off. I stopped doing everything else that I'd been doing. And I just said, start writing that novel. You know you want to. And that's what I did. Once I started, I couldn't stop. And so here we are at year 4. Where are we as a creative writer? Well, if you watched my previous video about living in a library, you know that I am working on a novel. It's fully drafted. It's actually with my agent right now who's making edits on it. I hope to have that novel, which does feature a Black woman who moves to Spain, but it's not autobiographical, I promise. But I mean, I live in this beautiful new world. I had to set a novel here, of course. But that novel is with my agent. I also have a novel that I wrote years ago. It's a middle grade novel that is also out in the world. So hopefully we'll find a home. I, reworked that. And then there's one other novel that I am also really excited about that I wrote years ago, but I convinced myself that I didn't have the talent to really bring it to life because there's lots of magic in it, and there's a talking mermaid in it, and it's an incredibly ambitious novel. And as soon as I finish this one that my agent has right now, I'm going to go back to it because now I feel not just that I have the talent to write it, but I feel empowered to write it. I'm energized by this life that I've created for myself. I look around me, I walk around here where my home in Spain, and living in another country, speaking in another language, everything feels new and fresh, and it really sparks my creativity. So I'm excited to do the types of things that I didn't have the courage to do when I lived in the US. And again, it's not about Spain per se. It's about the newness. It's about the excitement of being in a new country. Again, your brain works differently when you have to think in a different language. And it's not just Spain, but I travel. Again, in this previous video, I was in Ghana. I've been to Portugal. I did a writing retreat in Morocco. I am literally living the life that 8-year-old me dreamt about. And that's so exciting. So 4 years in, I am happy that I made this move. I have no regrets whatsoever. The only thing I miss as a writer in Spain is that I miss those indie bookstores that are Black owned, where all the books on the shelves are by Black authors or other BIPOC writers. Obviously, Spain is not responsible for making my life happy as a writer. But that is the one thing I miss. But it's something that I always look for when I'm traveling now. I really load up when I go back to the States, or if I go to the UK. When I was in Africa, yes, I came back with a suitcase full of books. So that's my only thing I miss, but it is hardly something that, makes me think I should go back to the United States. This is the global literary life I always wanted, and I'm super happy to be living it, and that I had the chance, and that I didn't wait until it was too late. All right, that's it. I hope my story inspires some of you who may have been sitting on a dream or thinking it was too late to go ahead and pursue that dream. Do those things that you wanted to do as a writer or as a little kid. Let yourself go. Take that little step of courage, that little bit of faith, and do it. See you on the next video.